Hello guys, and welcome back to the Folklore Hiking Stick Workshop. It's a quiet day and I've just popped in for a moment into the workshop. I'm not doing nothing, but I thought I'd just talk about my respirator because I've been sanding a batch of hiking sticks, 14 that I was doing in one hit, and I was down there for several hours with my sanding discs, and I'm doing the first grade or first cut of mechanical sanding. And there's always a lot of dust and that coming up. And I actually kind of, not taste, but you could smell like the smell of wood, which is not normal when I'm wearing the respirator. So after I finished sanding, I took it off and I thought to myself, I'm going to get some new cartridges to put on the outside of my respirator. And that's what I'm going to talk about. And I'll let you have a quick little look what I found. Right, this is my respirator and I've got side mounted cartridges, and once they kind of fit on and then click into position and they lock, and it's a really good system and I've been really pleased with this. I've got no dust on the inside. I'll let you have a look in a moment, but you can see by one of the cartridges I've taken off, it's heavily contaminated with dust of varying degrees. The actual rubber valve looks clean, so obviously there is no particles getting through. But I did check the inside the respirator and clean it, and due to condensation on the inside, if anything had got in, and in past experience of other respirators, the condensation will turn slightly dirty. It will have like a dirty brown look, and that's the particles of wood that are still getting through that build up in the condensation on the inside the mask. There's none of that. The condensation was clear. So these filters were doing their job. It must have just been the smell of wood that was coming through. So I'm going to open one of these and we'll see how contaminated it is. So this is the batch I was working or mechanically sanding. I've got some which are kind of like partially stripped, and then I got full stripped sticks. And the full stripped sticks obviously take a lot more sanding to get back out to where I can then go down the various grades. I'll let you have a look at that and the actual paper I was using. Right, here's two for example, and I'm hoping on camera it is a bit gloomy. It always is gloomy in here, but you can roughly see that I've started sanding out a lot of the heavy processing marks when I was actually getting the wood back to the point where I could start sanding it. So as you can see, there's still a lot of work, as in going down through the grades. But because I brought it back to this stage with a real aggressive grit, it gives the finer grits a chance to do their work without burning out or clogging up, and then you get a glaze on top of the wood. So as you can see, that's where we are with that, with a strip stick. And the same here, but obviously with an aggressive sanding paper, I can't do the actual bark at this particular stage because I would just remove too much. I've only removed just enough for me to do my wood burning and give my style of hiking stick. But the bits I have done, they do feel ready now to go down to the next grades of paper. So we'll have a quick little look at the paper now. So this is my box of delights, and it's various discs, pads and sanding paraphernalia which I can sand by hand or attach to a backing plate for my sander. And incidentally, this is the actual pad I was using, and you can see it's done a lot of work where in that central part there, because I haven't been using the outer or inner part to do any technical sanding. It was literally just to remove a bulk of wood to get to the point I could sand. But I think even on camera, you can see that is a really aggressive grit. So that was kicking out a lot of dust. I mean, it is literally clouds of dust. Where I actually work, down in the woodshed, which is outdoors, I've usually got a left to right or right to left wind. So the dust is being blown away from me in a large part. But you still have to have protection because you do end up being covered in dust. And I do have a shield over my mechanical sander. So it will be surprising for you guys to see how much dust has ended up in these cartridges. But yeah, that's what I was using. So you can imagine, if you're familiar with any type of woodworking, you'll probably understand what I'm saying. There's going to be a lot of dust coming off something like that. I will eventually move down to something like this and go down through the grades, but you know, that's not really a topic of conversation. This will produce finer dust, but not the quantity. But you could argue that could potentially be more of a problem, because it would find every hole and gap in the filter or your mask. And as I've said, it hasn't on this. It was just the fact I could smell wood. Not taste it, just smell it. So, you know, that's what led me to change my cartridges. So as you can see, it's clean. I've wiped it out after every use to get rid of the condensation. It builds up on the seal and inside. Now, you can see it's clean and free from contaminants in there. So obviously those filters are doing the job, because with the condensation it would just turn to basically cement and you'd have a fair job to get rid of it. But it is, like I said, lovely and clear. I have no problems in putting this back on. And it's dry after I've, you know, just given it a quick wipe out. I let it dry off before I next use it. That's to stop bacteria and any growths that could cause you harm in itself. So yeah, that one's good to go. But I'll just let you have a look at this filter I have here. And this one here I've split apart. You can see what the outside is like. And like I said, the valve is clean. You can see that. And I haven't cleaned that. You can see all the dust around the outside. But look at that, guys. That filter is absolutely blocked solid. So I was obviously smelling the wood from this dust. And it's got sawdust all the way to stuff like this, which is polishing dust or very fine sanding dust. And it's on the outer case as well. That's kind of heavier grade stuff. So guys, that's what you're breathing in if you're not using a respirator or a mask. And I would stringently say you should be using some sort of protection, because you do not want that going into your body. Not only is it bad for your lungs, some woods are toxic and have, you know, they can have harmful effects on the body in themselves. So yeah, I was really surprised to open this up to find it this bad. So just so that you can see, I haven't, like, you know, messed about with that just for the camera. Here's the other one, and let's break it open. If I can. There you go. And this one's fresh. It hasn't been opened for me to examine before you. You're seeing it. There you go. And that, as you can see, I haven't run my finger. That filter is totally clogged solid. So I think I was definitely due some new filters. Like I said, it wasn't this getting through. It was just the smell of wood. And because I could smell it, I knew it was time to change. But I don't think I'm going to leave it as long next time. Right. Just putting this filter on. I'm just checking and testing it to see if I can smell that wood smell. If you press the cartridges here, it allows you to create a vacuum so you can check the seal. And yeah, I can't smell that wood smell, so I'll take this off. So yeah, I can't smell that wood smell, so it was obviously just the smell from the contaminated filters. They'd reached the end of their life cycle. In fact, I could have probably done with, I probably should have read the literature and the guidelines, but obviously I now know I need to change these filters more regularly to give me a more comfortable time when I'm sanding. And indeed, you can evidently see by this, you guys should be considering, you know, obviously protection, but not only your protection, the maintenance of your respirators and the filters, and basically looking after yourself, because even though as a crafter doing hiking sticks, you know, it seems a pretty harmless pastime or occupation, you can clearly see that you could do yourself some harm if you weren't looking after yourself. On just a closing note, I do have to stress that it took me quite a few attempts to find a mask and a filter system that was working for me. Even though a lot of them will suggest they're generic, we all have different face shapes and you know, features that perhaps fit one brand of filter or mask better than another person. So if you're finding you're struggling to get a filter that fits, feels comfortable, or you feel comfortable that it's not allowing contaminants in, it is honestly something that you'll have to stick with and keep trying different filters and brands till you find one that's comfortable. It is money and time, you know, well spent, because it is your health and it's your comfort. So all I can say is stick with it to find, you know, that comfortable filter and mask system for yourself. Right, I'm going to close this video down. It was an extremely short one. It was just to show you, which I thought was interesting and quite important, because even though I'm down wood sanding and mechanically sanding outdoors, and I have the wind taking sawdust away from me, even though I don't have any kind of extraction, I've got the wind taking the sawdust away from me, you can evidently see I'm still exposed to it. So yeah, I just thought that would be relevant to some of you guys that are crafters and anybody else that's just playing around with wood, because as you can see, you are exposed to dust and basic contaminants any form of sanding you do. So I'm going to close this down and hopefully catch you on another video at some point. So take care, stay safe, and hope to catch you guys out on the trail.